Grocery stores?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the after show for the last ditch finale.
The last ditch.
The last ditch.
The first last ditch.
So, if you didn't know, our after shows for our final episodes of a season are usually always, live for people, so everybody can see them, so you get some kind of closure after everything. Usually, they're not the same as our other ones. Our other ones are a little chaotic. But clearly, we're going to have a season 2 coming in 2021. We hope that you guys like the little way we tease that. But we know that you all have been like really sad that it's going to go away. We wanted to make you confirm that there will be more to the story in 2021, but the war is going to be even bigger. We're not going to give you too much details on that because Sheepy has some plans and we have some behind the scenes plans, so we will be sharing those and teasing them out as they come to fruition. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's going to be quite a bit different next season. So, but exciting.
Yeah.
So for this season, how do you guys feel?
Sad that it's over.
Oh, damn.
I still haven't made peace with the fact that it's over yet. I'm just like, yeah, we're coming back next Sunday, no big deal. No big deal. We're fine. I'm in denial. So
next week, Vandy's gonna be messaging us all like, I miss you.
Hi.
Hi,
what are we doing today? Hi, can we all just hang out and play Among Us or something? Or
totally down with that, but can I just watch? Among Us gives me a heart attack.
We need to play 5D chess.
I don't like lying. Oh yeah, 5D chess. I'd be down with the chess thing.
Oh yeah, the chess. Oh my god, next Sunday, Bentham, you and me.
I mean, next Sunday I'm in the next show, but otherwise.
Oh fuck.
I would
Never
say.
Mind.
I'm
it could be
sorry,
after the show.
I would say either Project Winter or ICBM, which just came out recently. It looks like fun.
I'd be down with playing anything.
Played either of those.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with either
Project
of those.
Winter is a good Among Us, and then
oh, shade.
It's not because I get
shade.
shot, guys.
Well,
I don't like lying.
well.
Vandy's like, I love lying.
Listen, I'm actually not a very good liar, but I'm a great RPer. So if I just role play as someone else, it's not lying, it's just acting, right?
I mean, some people would say acting is lying, but anyway.
Tyler, you're so loud right now. Why?
Are we? Should I answer questions as they come?
Oh yeah, we can totally answer questions as they come in.
Yeah.
I just saw a question come in.
Sheepy's gonna try to reel us in.
Will season 2
What is your favorite food?
Will season 2 use the full formation rules?
Oh.
Only War is not designed for how I am running this and how I like to run these. Basically, all systems get massively altered by me so that they work on a show or for whatever I want to do. So
Yeah, there were some people who left comments, and I replied to all your comments on YouTube, but there was one person who was like, "You're not using the exhaustion rules right. This is how they're used," and I'm like, we have house rules for everything, so that's not just because it's that way in the book doesn't mean we're using.
Sheepdog, and then I'm like, that's fine.
Only War is very, very crunch, and it'd be more boring, I think, if we played it by the book, because we'd all just have our heads in the book, being like, okay, how does mass grenade volley work for this? How do we work this out?
If we played it by the book, you guys would still be in the initial trenches before the combat goes on for so long. It's fun if you've got 12 hours every whenever.
Vandy's got it. She's like 12 hours, sign me up.
Listen,
for a show, it's just
okay.
and also Only War is designed to be squad leveled, basically. You can have a war running, but you just kind of very this was very in-depth organization of an entire war, so
I think it was cool. I like the way that you did it to keep it still feeling quick.
Yeah, the thing about what I've noticed from when Sheepy runs campaigns is that it's RP it's an RP show. We want to prioritize RP, right? We're there to tell a story. We're there to interact with the world kind of like in a fun, like sandboxy kind of way, or as in whatever capacity that our GM wants. And, you know, the rules are there, but at the end of the day, in whatever guide or in whatever show you're running, or even if you're just running it with friends, the rules are just guidelines at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, when I like run D&D with my friends, I scrap some of the rules just because I'm like, I don't like this. Like,
yeah, or
I don't like the way that works.
I do what I call it,
cool.
the rule of, I do like rule of cool or rule of fun, where it's like, you know, you want it to be fun for everybody and have a good experience. So sometimes it's like, if a rule is making stuff feel like bogged down or it just feels unfair, then, you know, just change it. Like the books even all say that too. They're like, it's up to you to decide how you want to play in the end. So, you know, I know there are some people who are book lawyer, like rule lawyery people though. So
that's a totally valid way of doing it too. Like if you like going by things exactly by the book, then, and if your players like that too, then by all means. That's just not how, you know, we do it up here, just because it's more like we're here to tell the story and tell something a little bit more narrative, and it allows us to kind of like interact again, like with the world more.
I feel like
there's been an evolution. Yeah, there's been evolution over time of like RPGs where like, and particularly things like D&D and the 40k systems of FFG, their origins are in miniatures games where it's, you know, like originally it's, you know, it's two people trying to win within the rules of the miniatures game, and then it turned into like 4 people trying to beat one person who had advantage in a miniatures game, and then like, hey, what if our fights affect a plot? So there's kind of an interesting narrative going on, and there's continuation between the miniatures fights that we're trying to win. And so it's evolved from that to be like, we are trying to beat the GM, and the GM like sets as a challenge for us to overcome, into what about just telling cool stories? So it's like it's built around a war where we're fighting an enemy and Sheepy's controlling that enemy, but we're mainly in it just for the role playing of being in the situation rather than particularly trying to win, even though we try to win it just because that's what our characters would do.
But I think deaths can also be like, as we saw, you know, when we get attached to characters.
Episode 1.
Or in episode 1, death can make death can be a good story. So like losing, I think for me personally that losing makes for a more compelling story a lot of the times. Like when you have flaws or when you fail at something, those are like moments of progression for your character, whether that means your character goes down a downward spiral or your character learns from it and moves forward, right? Like I think those things are always my favorite parts.
Yeah, that's the point of it. It's like it doesn't matter as much if we lose, because the point was the fun of it and like the role playing and just acting it out.
The story.
But that's why the rules don't matter as much, because like if we follow the rules to the letter, then we get bogged down in stuff that only exists for the purpose of making it fair if you're actually trying to win. Like, so Sheepy can fudge it and be like, just make 3 rolls and we'll work it out, because it's not like, if you were just trying to win, then you could exploit that, and because it's not like properly defined, but because that's not the point and we're just trying to have fun, we can just be like, just make 3 rolls. You do like, good.
I'm not trying to, you know, as much as I joke about it, I'm never trying to kill you guys. It's just how the dice go and how the rolls go and how the narrative of it goes. So if you roll 3 crit failures, then it's going to raise massive death flags for you that you're going to have to like do dodge rolls and try and tank artillery hits. And
I mean, there were multiple times where we just got lucky on like dice rolls that Primer didn't die or Reckenbacher didn't die, Lancaster didn't die. Like
took a biovore to the face.
I mean, the whole thing where the Kyrian had to swoop me up, Primer easily could have died right there.
That was so close.
That was my roll as well. I was like, if I fail this roll for this, and I rolled like a 5 or something, because
you like succeeded by like
came through
0.3 and 0.5, I think.
Yeah.
So like there are so many like, I don't want to downplay how close you guys came to dying. Like it was a lot.
Yeah. I also personally think that if I was actually physically rolling dice, I enjoy that. But clicking a button and constantly having to do that, to me, both from a perspective of RP and from a perspective of like if I was watching a show, I wouldn't enjoy watching a show just watching them. I rolled this. I rolled this. I rolled this.
And some people do like
this.
watching that. And there are shows that are like more mechanically driven versus RP driven. But obviously on Roll For It, our main goal is to tell narrative stories. And so when we have GMs join us or players join us, we really say like, hey, our goal here is to tell a story. And, you know, like if there's something where like someone has like a safety tool that they want to put in place, like they don't feel comfortable with something, we like handle that as well. So it's just, yeah, our goal is a little bit different than just sitting at a table playing with your friends. Our goal is to put on like entertainment for people, which I think is, in my opinion, when I play at a table with my friends, is very different from playing like on a show. Yeah. And also the way you respect people talking, right? Like if Bentham and, you know, Tyler are in a scene together, like I let them have their time, right? And I'm quiet. I'm not like side table talking. But like when you're in a real table, a lot of times there's like a lot of side talk going on, which is very different from like when you're putting on a show and trying to be invested.
The goal's entirely different. Like when you're at a table, you're just trying to have fun as a group, whereas when you're on a show, you're trying to entertain an audience. So there's different ways of going about it. Weird thing for me is that like I've played RPGs offline and I'm like, oh, this is way less fun.
So Jabba, the space gangster, said, I do wonder why no one ever burned any fate. Seems like you only ever use points to re-roll. I think because none of us wanted to lose our fate points, and also
because
the benefit of re-rolling is just so good.
I also don't even know what burning fate is. All I knew was re-roll.
Yeah, what is burning fate?
Most survive death.
Yeah, the main use is if you die, you can burn a fate point to be like, can I not die just
Jokes,
please?
I'm still alive.
We didn't die
FYI,
yet, so
we didn't have.
Psych.
In the first episode, we didn't have. So in the first episode,
in the first episode, we didn't have fate points because we were just generic dudes. So when we died,
even then, for me with 40k stuff, I'll generally talk to the player when they, you know, die, and be like, if it doesn't make sense that they survive, usually we end up being like, yeah, they die. Like even with burning fate points, because
we've had good examples of that. We've had good examples of that previously on Roll For It. Is we had in a previous campaign, we had a character who died and went, no, I'm not going to spend the point. I'm going to actually die. And we also had cases where the point was spent to survive, but then like a serious injury was got, like a robot leg or robot lungs.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah. I think like in the end, you know, we just didn't have a purpose to use that for at the time. So a lot of us were using them to reroll, and then we were out of them.
So,
okay, to be fair, there were a lot of things we needed to reroll. Okay, we had some really, like, we had some pretty shitty strokes of luck there, and we had to survive. So we did what we needed to.
I was actually really lucky this episode. I don't know if I failed anything. I have all my rerolls still.
Yeah.
I think you got really lucky.
But there've been other times where I've gone through all my rerolls in the first half and been like, oh, I'm screwed now.
If you'd have stayed in the HQ, you'd have probably used.
Oh yeah, no, that would have been a whole other kettle of fish.
Okay, so I'll quick shot a few questions that I've seen because I've kind of like stayed scrolled up. As a member of SOAP, I'm interested. What happens? Are we now part of the AdMech? Yeah, you're basically being signed up to the AdMech.
Okay, well, what happened with the parasite?
Well, that's something that hasn't been decided yet because it's still an ongoing thing.
Huh.
I'm really curious if those underground flying Tyranids were always planned, and if so, how many were there? The second lot that were released were like a trap I had there for either the players or, you know, the rear guard or whoever. The first lot that got released, no. Like, they were there, but I was like, this is if everything goes really, really wrong with like crit failures and stuff and bad rolls. And it happened, and I was like, oh, crap, okay. Additionally, the more you guys pushed out and took over the planet, the more pockets of stuff there is. There is a pocket with a Carnifex in. So you could have released the Carnifex if you kept pushing out. So...
And then we have a question here that's due to all the roles and such that happened. How far off did this season go from what you thought on episode 1? Guess it's more for you than us.
Oh, I had no expectations. I love running sandboxes. and I have control. I have limited control of the Tyranids in this season. I had no control over anything Imperial Guard, so I had no idea where it was going to go.
I remember that you were surprised about how well we managed to hold off the initial push of the Nids, that we managed to establish those 3 lines early on that like mostly managed to hold.
It was a bit wobbly at one point in the top right near PWN. But aside from that, you guys held it pretty well. Flooding the jungle helped a lot. It meant that the Tyranids couldn't come through there, and they had to go back round. Yeah, there was a lot of things that could have gone very, very differently. What I guessed would happen was that you guys would be stuck in the Imperial occupied zone, basically taking a beating. But didn't happen.
Yeah, and when it comes to episode 1, like the first episode that we had, we knew we were coming into it playing characters that we might not continue playing, because we had already made these other characters that we were going to play in episode 2, but we wanted to really showcase kind of like the prequel, like what it's like, and how dangerous it is. And we didn't know if we'd survive. Like, there was a potential that all of us could have died.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the way that it ended, though. It was great.
It was pretty great.
The plan was once you start getting command and being in charge, the risk to death became less.
Because you're not
general,
like in the front line usually.
but it's more like more pinpoint, just kind of like instances where it's like, death flag. Whereas at the start, obviously, Primer lost his leg, Rickenbacker got hit by a biovore. Technically, that should kill someone, but it didn't because he fucking dies. Lancaster got shot and twice, I think. Almost died twice from being shot.
Primer
Lime
also got hit by a biovore.
Yeah.
Lime got poisoned via tea.
Poison via tea.
Yeah.
So life-threatening. I didn't
My
get
bad.
abducted by a gargoyle, though.
Lime got abducted by a gargoyle. There was a lot of moments where it could have gone badly. But, well, there were a lot of moments where it did go badly for both me and for you guys as well.
People are like, wait, the first episode wasn't Victor's origin story? I think it just kind of happened.
Yeah, no,
that just worked out that way.
Honorary main character.
I just intended to come at you guys with a lictor, and like my assumption was you would all die. However, some good rolls in the rear guard, and you guys managing to survive long enough to get picked up meant that, like, you were all sitting there. Well, Bentham and Maggie, your characters were sitting there while the flesh hooks were getting shot at you repeatedly.
It was so
and you're just like,
scary. We couldn't see it. Oh.
I can't believe I managed to hook you right at the end as well and like drag you off the evac. I
liked it. I liked the end scene of me handing. Like, I wanted to keep the papers so much, and in the end, they didn't really mean anything.
Oh my god! I just realized I almost died before. Like in one of the first episodes, I was in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I
then
think
one of the other guys went out, and I ducked.
And one of my guys died to protect one of you. I can't remember who it was because it jumped in forward.
I think it was Lancaster.
That might have been you for Lancaster. Yeah, he was a good guy too. I was like, no.
Yeah, I was a bit of a liability.
It was a
at the beginning there.
One of my tanky bros.
Yeah, I
I
remember.
remember his name now. Oh, I'll go look for it.
Doesn't matter. He died for the Emperor.
No, but he has a name.
I think Reckenbacher and Primer went up to get you, and on the way back, Primer got exploded by that biovore, which is how Primer almost died too. I think that was that sequence.
So the
Trooper Kratzo, was that it?
Oh, maybe.
That sounds
Kratzo?
right.
That was episode 3.
Yeah, it was really early.
Somebody asked if Primer likes cybernetics. Yes, that's a 21st thing. They all start with a cybernetic enhancement.
My question for Vandy is, how do you feel about Banabatch Cumberdick still being alive?
Okay.
Lieutenants.
Oh yeah, Lieutenant.
Benabatch.
He's been a
Cumberdict,
lieutenant since week 4.
aka Cumberbitch.
Well, he was lieutenant. He got
Yeah.
promoted and then demoted again. So.
I'm just happy he's not my superior anymore. If I'm being honest.
He was never your superior.
In rank he was, wasn't he?
In rank, yeah.
In rank,
In rank,
yeah,
that's what I
but in
mean,
all
like-
I wasn't
other
talking about
ways.
rank.
Okay, yeah, no, he was like, he's a time. Whoever came up with that freaking name, I swear.
that
Was
was
that
the
you?
sheepy.
There wasn't the rear
That was
guard?
just me.
That wasn't
yeah.
on the MP. That wasn't
Sheepy-
an NPC name.
There is a long list of
I
NPC
love and
names,
hate
but-
you, man. Like, it's fucking, no, it was, it was good. I'm, happy he's not outranking me right now. That was kind of the big thing.
Someone
But-
said, what about Lonnie?
Also survived.
Yep.
Pass. Next.
Yeah, we don't
You know
even
when you're like, I really love the moment when you were like naming off the like after kind of like the culmination of all the battle, and you're like naming off all the names of people who had died. It kind of almost gave me like Hunger Games vibes, like, you know, like at the end when they like
yeah.
the cannon
the end of the
fires.
night where they like say who's
Yo,
left. Like I was like,
who's
yeah, I was
that's-
like, it was giving me vibes. I was like, oh, this is so horrifying, but I love it.
Season 2 will have the rear guard.
Hey.
Hey.
So 12th Lightfoots, you are expected to report for duty.
It'll
Or no dinner.
be a little bit different. I'm still hammering out the idea, but yeah, it'll be in effect very, very, very similar to how the rear guard is now.
Cool. I think
There's
we
one
still
thing
have...
you could change
I've
about
seen
the
a lot of-
campaign. What would it be?
Ooh, change.
My power going out.
That would
We
have been
wouldn't
helpful.
have had this
Yeah.
today.
We lost a cool scene because for this finale I had to be a little more narrative and a little quicker with. 'cause,
What do you feel like we missed out on, or do you want to share?
getting Silvat back.
Oh,
I think that would have
Savings-
been.
Well,
making
saving
it into like a
Lieutenant-
proper
no, saving Staff Sergeant Silvat.
saving
Oh,
Staff Sergeant Sylvette's corpse.
One thing I think everyone will want to know is the reason why all the officers died is because the officers rolled so bad in the rear guard. Like it was just they rolled horribly. It happens. But like the amount of danger you guys were in for this final episode was directly a result of how the rear guard rolled. So the majority was quite bad. So the number of like D10s you were rolling and the amount of like damage your guys took is representative of that.
I just saw 16 out of 18 rolls failed.
wow.
Yeah.
What? How?
Can I just
How?
say, I feel like I got really lucky this entire campaign. I didn't lose a single named character.
You did very well. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because I lost all of mine, so you're welcome, I guess. Fucking.
named characters were the only
Oh.
things I lost.
But like,
Yeah, pretty much.
I got lucky in that last combat that I faced off against a Biovore, which was probably the least threatening for
With
me to handle.
your rocket, it's really gonna be like an easier one. But the D100s at the beginning, that was how I chose who had what encounter.
That's what I figured. That's why I was like, that's probably the encounter, because like you got a Biovore, which was different than what everyone else got too.
Yeah, that's what Sheepy was telling us at one point. Like the lowest was Lictor, the second lowest was Biovore, the third was
I had the highest.
Warriors, and the highest
And
was
you had the highest, which was the Zoanthrope, which just
Zoanthrope.
does so much damage. But yeah, how did the Nids get to the planet? They are a really ancient, like splinter or like even scouting force that basically hit the planet and was like, shit, there's nothing here. So they went underground and then they've been dormant for ages until a cat woke them up.
Only you guys can hear the cat. They can't hear
Just
the
hear my
cat.
second-
You just hear my cat yelling in the background.
Oh my god.
But the chat can't hear it because my noise gate.
I just want to
Um,
say it's been so much fun RPing with all of you in so many different aspects. Like, the comedy aspect between Vandy and I was really fun. I loved the interaction with regard to the recap with the 1-4 and Lime and the low stick recap exchange, and then obviously the camaraderie and just casual like friendship that Reckenbacher and Primer had, and then all the different characters that Sheepy did were
so
insanely
good. So good.
It's always nice to see the look of disappointment on your face, Tyler, when I start with an NPC and you just look at me like, really, dude? You're doing this? Come on.
There were plenty I just laughed at because they were so good, though.
Yeah.
So people want to know how much time will pass between season 1 and season 2.
In probably a couple of months. Enough time for you to get resupplied and reinforced and etc. in time to go where you're going.
I'm getting a lot of
what
reinforcements. I've got 800 dudes.
I will say this. I agree with you guys on like the cooking, like being it like in most games like cooking stuff is not that big of a deal, especially in like this type of game. But it just became a thing, and I think that's so awesome. Like I love it.
I was surprised and happy that it actually ended up working out, because it was kind of a key part of my backstory with the shore and everything. And I'm glad we could actually incorporate it into freaking Only War of all things. Like, who cooks in Only War?
I want it to become a part of Roll For It lore now, and there's a cookbook for all of the different campaigns
for every campaign.
I love that.
Because then Roll For It has
funny.
like a cookbook merch.
We could definitely do cookbook merch for sure.
Cook for it.
So there's the question of will the Koreans be in the next season? Should I answer that, or
it's up to you?
I think you should make chat roll for it.
It's something that I don't think will come up really.
You could. I mean, it's your like world.
Okay.
So if you want to
your world, we're just living in it.
I just want the chat to roll for it.
So
is it going to be like a big spoiler?
No, not
Oh,
really.
well then just do it.
So Sheepy's idea for the Koreans, because the Koreans are heading off. They're warping. They're going through the warp back to their home planet. They get a little knocked off course, and they end up crash landing on Gorkamorka, which, if anyone is familiar with that, it's an older game, but it's basically Mad Max with orcs as a planet.
Oh my god. Yes.
It's gonna be great.
Which works great for the Kyrians because they all have like fast-moving buggies.
And I thought it's a possible setup for a future Roll For It thing I could do for you guys, which is
we've talked about some one-shot future options, so we'll
that's one of them is Gorkamorka with the Kyrians.
I think I'm gonna rewatch Mad Max at one point. What a great movie that was.
It is, yeah.
It's really good, yeah.
They might make the sequels at some point.
So people want to know what our like best moment was, or our favorite moment.
Ooh.
Oh god.
Each person maybe go around and say what your favorite moment was.
While you're thinking, this war had nothing to do with the Eldar.
Just confirming.
Does anyone have a favorite?
I'm worried about what happens if we actually fight Eldar. Like, what does Scriven do in that case? Does he become like the best commander, or does he like become a complete mess?
He becomes like supremely smug and is just saying, "I told you," and
but isn't actually useful as a commander because he's so busy being like, "I was right."
I mean, he's not useful as a commander. He's comparable to some. He's decent. He's a bit above average.
He does get the job done. You just have to ignore anything he says pertaining to Eldar, and then have him carry on.
Ooh, I had a question. Although my favorite part in chat, I'll answer in a sec. But Queros asked, "Does Primer ever plan on telling others his number?" Lancaster knows.
Yeah.
Lancaster is the only person that knows his number. There are a few people in the company, like I'm pretty sure Click knows, because Click was there when Shifter told him, so Click knows as well. But for the most part, those that carry the number 1, the designation 1, don't share it for the reason of the fact that a lot of people would either look at it as a good thing, but the majority are like, I don't want to be under this commander because he's going to get me killed. But yeah, Lancaster knows. And probably my favorite part was actually that reveal to Lancaster and that interaction when we were saying bye and he handed over the dog tags and revealed that to Lancaster.
It's a good moment.
That was a really emotional moment. That was a good one. Yeah.
And I think my favorite moment was actually like the bye award to the face, because I was like trying to like protect somebody else, and I put the shield up to like protect someone else, and then I'm like, I think I was carrying Tyler, right? Like I was carrying you out. Yeah. Was that what that scene was? Like I think
yeah.
Yeah, it was very like it's those intense moments where like you're like, I'm putting myself in danger, but it's to save somebody else. Like I think like those very epic.
I would say like purely as a GM, my favorite moment was just almost the entirety of episode 1.
Oh, yeah. Episode 1. The entire episode 1 was like amazing. It was chef's kiss.
Like we all managed to nail the atmosphere of like tense panic. Like I think I mentioned it to Bentham. I wanted to make like Predator. You know, like an episode of Predator, basically.
It felt that way. It felt
like we
way.
still had those moments of like fun and less tension, like towards the beginning, because you're like, oh, I'm driving on a bus, and then it's like, oh shit, like horror story starts.
Aside from that, like, there's no specific moment because you've got too many good. I love it when things go narrative, for example. So like when I'm like, hey Baggy, do you mind if I take this? And you're like, yeah, go for it. And then they like bounce off the, they use the shields as a springboard and like that's some stuff I love. But I will say literally every time you guys think up something innovative and weird and, that just knocks the situation out the park. I really enjoyed like the creative strategies and like makeup of the squads and everything. So
yeah, our squads work together really well. Like everyone just picked kind of like regiments that really make sense and work really well together.
I'll be honest, I wasn't sure how it was going to pan out, but it actually ended up, everyone kind of fit perfectly where they needed to be. It was great.
My favorite individual moment was like when I got to when I was being abducted by the gargoyle, and I was like, so this is the moment I get to use the one thing that I had, like the secret.
That's one of those ones which I was talking about. Like I love that where you're just like, aha, I could use the last cutters.
It's like, wait, this is the perfect moment for that thing that I've been waiting for a chance to use. So I got to do the reveal and then do that. But then if it's more general, like favorite like larger scale event would be the battle for the valley and us like moving around the blocks. And, I like that scale of fighting. I like the pushing blocks around on maps with sticks kind of fighting, where it's like you move up to there, hold this position, advance, fall back.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, and it ended up with the hill, which was really nice. I do want to answer one of these questions with my own question, which is, can we get Sheepy back as a player in a campaign? Which I respond with, have you seen me as a player?
To be fair, I haven't even seen you as a player.
To be fair, he has agreed that he would be on the Santa RPG in the future if we ever have one, so...
Sure.
As Santa, question mark?
That would be the GM again.
Oh right, Santa's yes, never mind.
He would be an elf.
Gotta work on the beard some more, but also it's the wrong color. Give it.
Well, a little bit's the right color right there. I've been a player in a fair few games. I am one of the eternal GMs mostly, where I GM because I GM. I love it. But, it is nice to be a player.
And there's no saying that he won't be. We have lots of like one-shot options available too. So you never know. We might have Sheepy as a player someday, and
Always
not
willing.
just GMing. So.
But yeah, Bentham has experienced me as a player. In when we did the mage on EEs.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah. That was just one episode though. I did it like.
yeah. Well,
Oh, no.
it was one episode where we almost died horrifically like 3 times and had to turn back time to fix everything.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
the kitchen and you got shot and then
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
Pro tip when playing mage: always have a powerful time mage, so when you inevitably screw up, you can be like, "None of that happened."
Yeah.
Oh, I've done that before.
Yeah, you have.
I'm
Don't fuck with time.
That was by accident, though.
That was. It was.
You weren't trying to turn back time,
No, that's
but it
true.
did happen to fix the problem you were trying to fix.
Yeah, true.
I mind controlled chefs into a firing squad.
That sounds amazing.
It was horrific, but
That's
it
mage
kind of
for you.
worked.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's saying he turned chefs into a firing squad. I think he's saying he sent chefs into a firing
Yeah,
squad.
yeah. I mind controlled them to just walk into a firing squad.
Oh, that is
We undid that, so that never
Horrifying.
happened.
okay. And we
I think
we
mine-
did
I
have
haven't
we
talked
did
about
have
my favorite
peachy.
moment.
Yeah, I was going to do that. We did we did have yeah, I was gonna say we are gonna have to wrap up the after show here in a little bit, but yes, Vandy, tell us what your favorite episode or part of the episode or season was.
I have to say, like, and I mentioned this last week as well when we had cut out, but I think the explosion underneath when we found the tunnels and were able to find all that, like all the explosives and put it under the tunnel and just blow up the city with all those NIDs. That
cool.
to me felt so badass.
It
Being
was
able to like call Lime in, be like, Lime, check the soil. Like, how good is this? You can hear them skittering around, setting up all the explosives, freely being a fucking boss and saving everything there.
People want to know
And
if
then
Freely's
getting
gonna get if Freely's gonna get a promotion. I saw that question in there.
I think
He's gonna
gain a
always
king.
he's gonna always be, I want him to be like one rank below me or a couple ranks below me kind of thing. I want him to stick with me for a while because he is he's like the Swiss Army knife of, you know, of troopers and people like in your squad. Like, he can get you anything, he can disappear. I couldn't find him the first time I wanted to find him. Like, he's always showing up and he's always saying the things that I probably shouldn't say, but I definitely want to do. Like, you know, let's loot these bodies. God damn, okay.
That was so good.
Oh man.
I just
right.
need to intersect very quickly.
Okay.
We had a comment which was like, I mean, we have had Sheepy as a player before on Layla, brackets. I hope that's Sheepy.
No.
That's Peachy.
That's peachy, yeah.
Why don't you just say you love me or roll for it? Oh. Dagger to
We
the
have had
heart.
Peachy on a few times.
Yeah. And that's where the whole I loved you on roll for it came from. Because people kept coming to my stream and being like, oh, hey, Sheepdog, I loved you on roll for it. And I'm like, haven't been on roll for it. I think you're talking about Peachy. It's like, no, you were on the Mouse Guard and you GM'd Star Trek and you're on that episode of Layla. I'm like, that's all Peachy still, but thanks.
I don't even know
Have
who
we
it is.
have we ever
Fucking
seen
love
Peachy and
Peachy.
Sheepy in the same room?
No.
I haven't
Oh.
actually. I haven't.
No.
What do we do with
Good
them when I
point.
find? I'm gonna find a one shot to put the both of you on.
Actually, no, that's a
my
lie. He
goal.
was on an episode with us on VTM.
He was.
Oh,
How do you know it wasn't like a
a
face?
robot hologram.
it was-
True, you know.
It was a deep fake.
Sheepy's
One of
pretty
the
crafty,
webcams was a deep fake with a green screen.
Oh my gosh.
You've seen them on the same
Not
stream,
real.
but not the same room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta see them in real life.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we need
They're
to
a
wrap
single
up
entity
this.
called Peshipi.
We have to wrap up this after show. Anyone have any final words that they would like to say
Shapichi.
to wrap today's?
Don't drink the leaf. And 12th, we're here too.
Do drink the recap.
Do drink the recap though.
Anyone else?
Don't be a
Thank you
stranger.
for rolling for it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Don't be a stranger. I'm excited for other campaigns, but I'm gonna miss this one.
Yeah. We'll be back for
Oh,
season.
oh.
Oh, go ahead.
I have something.
Okay.
Why is he called Mando if it's Mandalorian.
Duh, yeah,
It
Mandalorian.
doesn't make any fucking sense,
I
right?
agree. I agree.
Oh,
There you
for
go.
fuck's sake. Here's the next hour of the after show.
That's the kind of conversation that we really would have had during a real after show.
If you look at
But we
languages,
don't have time for
like
that because I gotta wrap up.
Spanish, the female ends in A, and he is
Manda?
clearly a male, so Mando, like,
So he ends in an O.
yeah, when you abbreviate it.
But how
Then
they
we
know
need
he's-
a female Mandalorian called Amanda.
We do.
Amanda, that's great. All right.
good.
Vivir Infero, my fellow Iron Briggs. We'll see you for season 2 coming 2021. Stay tuned for more information on that. Of course, we still have our RP channel available for all of y'all to hang out with and chat in our Discord. And of course, if you've never seen an after show before and you'd like to see more of them because you enjoyed this, usually they're more silly and fun and not as serious because like the final ones we want to kind of wrap up and give you guys answers and like some culmination to the story. But if you like seeing that kind of stuff and want to understand the makings and the inner workings of how we do things, definitely check out our stuff on Patreon, patreon.com/rollfort. And we will see you all next week for Star Wars. You'll have a Star Wars after show. In which maybe we'll talk about, I'll bring up Sheepy's question, or I'll try to remember to bring it up. Bentham, you also try to, and Tyler. We'll try to bring it up in the after show for the Star Wars one. And then we'll get back to you, Sheepy, on the answers. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.